After advocating a community with shared future for mankind for years, the Chinese regime found itself a major player in the Paris Climate Accord after President Trump withdrew from it. Not surprisingly, Joe Biden, in naming his cabinet-level members, appointed John Kerry as the climate czar. Xi and Biden seem to think alike. While Chairman Xi wishes to take the lead in the globalist movement, his country is a mess. Recently, according to Lu De in his morning podcast on December 18, 2020, there was a sudden disruption of electricity supply in some southern regions in China. An Hong, Lu De's morning co-host, explained that since electricity cannot be stored for future consumption, the government's power cut should be a sign of shortage of electricity in China. She added that while the purity of Australian coal is 1.5 times higher than that of the Chinese coal, in the light of the trade war against the Australian coal, the power plants may have technical difficulties burning the domestic coals without maintenance. Another explanation was also offered on the show. Electricity may have been heavily used by the military, whose need has always been prioritized. In fact, provinces such as Hubei and Hunan have declared the state of wartime electricity supply. Disregard of the fact that the residents in China experienced extreme hardship on a daily basis, with many suffering from sickness due to the shortage of heating energy in the winter, the Global Times, a CCP party-owned medium, propagandized this as an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emission and save energy, the core of the Paris Climate Agreement. On one hand, the Chinese regime is actively involved in the Paris Climate Accord, and on the other hand, Joe Biden lately appointed John Kerry as the climate czar. This by no means is a coincidence. It is a concerted effort to send a signal to the world that climate change is an issue of national security and that it takes the government to control it. Lu De Media viewed Biden's decision to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord as another successful U.S. infiltration by the CCP. Climate change indeed is an ongoing subject matter of discussion, but contrary to other countries' goodwill, the CCP has never really cared about natural environment of China or the Earth. All it wants is to wield Paris Climate Agreement as a tool to accomplish its ambition to control the world. By implementing a restriction on the energy consumption, the CCP successfully built a perfect illusion by covering the truth about its electricity shortage through its media. In the near future, this illusion would be blown to the world as the epitome via CCP's overseas propaganda system that was engineered by its long-term international infiltration and the Great Firewall of China. CCP would overtly remonstrate that China should not be the sole country to take substantial steps to save the global climate, thus intentionally implying that the whole world should follow its policy. With contents unveiled from the laptop from hell, Chris Hance, the stepson of John Kerry, who turned out to be a close business partner with Hunter Biden, who is inextricably entwined with the CCP. Coincidentally, Joe Biden, Hunter's father, whose party has stolen the election results, has appointed many CCP-backed politicians to be his cabinet members, including the appointment of John Kerry in his cabinet-level position. In Lu De's opinion, if U.S. subsequently formulated similar energy regulations, the society would be trapped in a muddle caused by living in discomfort under energy control, just like the discomfort that Americans suffered through the COVID-19 lockdown. And sooner or later, as Lu De explains, the American people would get used to be controlled by the government exactly the way the CCP wanted. By just taking a look at how the Democrat Party wants to control our lives, the 80 million people who voted for Trump know that the Chinese Communist regime could own America if Joe Biden were to become the president.